Hi, I hope everyone's well. Welcome to my 2022 garden tour. And I'm just going to take you on a tour to talk about some of the changes I've made this year and talk about some of the ideas that I had coming into this year's tour. It's been a long year, it's been a crazy year, and hopefully by watching this video I can inspire you and maybe even de-stress you a little bit. By walking through here and seeing the possibilities that you can achieve yourself with just a little bit of work and a lot of focus. And yeah, so I'd like to take you on the tour. First things first, this is my backyard kitchen that I built here. I built a little thing for my pizza oven. That's the Gozney Dome. It's a great pizza oven. If you like Neapolitan pizza, it's a great oven for the backyard. I've been really pleased with it so far. So I recommend that. Yeah, it's just a really quiet afternoon. It's kind of overcast. The sun's back there. That's facing west. So the sun sets in the west back behind the trees, which is nice. That's my black lace elderberry getting big. And yeah, I'm just going to take you through it for a quick walk because I put in a garden in the front this year. So I'm not going to talk too much this time. I mean, I'm not really sure I have that much to say. I worked through a lot of negativity before creating this video, until I was inspired by a video that I saw yesterday talking about, productivity versus serenity in terms of planning out your garden. And I thought, I can lend something to the conversation about serenity, because that's what I always hope to achieve just as much as, vegetable and fruit productivity and sustainability is having a refuge from all the craziness in the world. And there's enough, and doing this on an individual level almost feels kind of selfish because, you want to be able to share it with more people. But this is my way of, of sharing it with more people. And I hope that comes across, because I hope you're able to achieve the same thing. So anyway, it's the front of my garden. That is, I believe it's called a Saskatoon. It's a service berry. And that is great. It's still a young tree, but that tree is going to get big and beautiful. It's very popular in New Haven, Connecticut, in the area that I'm in. And these are my potted figs. And as you can see, when you get up close, they're just loaded with figs. If you have any questions about what varieties to grow in your area, there are kids playing, just ask me in the comments and I'll be happy to give you an answer. That's an RDB. So this is a front yard garden, and this is where it's beginning. I have dahlias and King Stropharia, that's a mushroom. I always mess that up. King Stropharia is a mushroom. That is, what kind of grass is that? What kind of grass is that? That always drives me crazy. I forget. Okay. It'll come to me in a minute. Carl Forester, there it is. Carl Forester. It's a great vertical grass. Anyway, so I put in a lot of peppers and eggplants in the front yard. As you can see, I can't even keep up with the pepper production. There's just so many of them. I grow a lot of carmines, got a lot of Jimmy Nardellos, Italian frying peppers. I keep getting these interesting brown dragonflies. There's one right here. And they're everywhere. I see them whenever I come up here now. Obviously, these are eggplant, the Italian eggplant, melanzana, and these are beautiful eggplant. And yeah, I order from Franchi, Seeds of Italy, in addition to Baker Creek. So I try to support a lot of the companies that are growing organic heirloom varieties of seeds, but also Franchi, where Seeds of Italy sells a lot of organic varieties. And the Italians know a lot about vegetables, and I really recommend Seeds of Italy because I've heard a couple of other people that I've talked to who knew about it, and we kind of like high-five, like, oh wow, you know about it, because they're just really great. And And you can get everything there. Here's a whole bed of Genovese basil mixed with, there it's all bolted. You can replant basil now in July and August and get another crop of it. Here's a whole bunch of figs that I have in the front. And I could talk about why they're not bigger, but I had a little mishap where I left the covers on for too long, and I'm not gonna go too far into that because I could just go on forever about that, and I don't want to talk for too long. So yeah, I'm all about stress reduction. This year I finished my dissertation on nature-based interventions for stress recovery in urban environments to address the pressing needs of climate change. And if these heat waves have taught us anything, it's that climate change is affecting urban populations and vulnerable populations disproportionately to how it's affecting others. So that's something to think about. And while I'm talking about that, I'd like to recommend a book. It's called Oneness versus the 1%. Again, Oneness versus the 1%. And that's written by Dr. Vandana Shiva, who is one of the most important seed activists, permaculture activists, and just amazing human beings that you can find in the world. And her work, Oneness versus the 1%, I can't recommend it enough. Because if you read that book, you're going to find out what can I do to stop the 1% from genetically modifying my food and destroying my planet. And if you're watching this video, I'm pretty sure you get the idea. So again, wow, we got like a parade of cats. That's Rutger. And those two are brothers. That's Lester and Rutger. And they love it out here. I call this guy Houdini because no matter what I do with my cat fencing, as you can see right there, he can climb roofs, he can scale walls. There's nothing that's going to stop him from conquering the great outdoors. I've replaced fences, I've tried everything, but he's so trustworthy, and he makes multiple appearances a day on my doorbell cam. So here we go. And I have these beautiful new flowers that I started, and I don't know what they're called. So if you know what these are called, please leave a comment, because I don't know what they are. They kind of look like Veronicastrum here, right? We've had hardly any rain this year. It's the craziest thing. But I don't know what they are. I haven't looked it up. I haven't had time. So if you know, please enlighten me. Here are my Asian pears. I recommend growing Asian pears. Here's a Liberty apple. Hudson's Golden Gem. This kind of walk around is inspired by Jeff Lawton's tour of Paradise Lot in Holyoke, Massachusetts, about an hour away from here. And that was a huge inspiration. I got a black butterfly here. Where is he? Oh, there he is. And that's not a person, that's Scalanor. Scalanor changes outfits every season. And this is Scalanor's latest look. But this is my Contorted Mulberry, and this is my my cove area where you can play chess with Scalanor. I have my cat following me around for this. And that's my Contorted Mulberry, which is shading out my my greenhouse, which is great because you could see all the tomatoes ripening, and I didn't grow them to central stem or anything like that. I just let them grow this year. And I am so glad that I did, because it's required so much less work. I'm not even gonna tell you, I haven't even watered these once. You can see here, they're right on the edge of the greenhouse, as are you. And, you know, I mean, maybe it's rained once or twice. It's in the driest season ever. But if I take a peek into the greenhouse, I'm actually not gonna walk through here. I'll just sort of peek in from this side. And those are my wall of tomatoes. And you can see I took that concrete mesh and I brought it up the top to kind of create like like a canopy. And these light up at night, and you can see it from my bedroom. It's really great. You know, serenity versus productivity. Think about how you want it to look, not just what it can produce. You know, I never took a permaculture design tour, but just get inspiration. If you don't have time for all that, just get inspiration from the people on YouTube. Like, my videos are just like, I didn't think of this all. I'm standing on the shoulders of all the other artists, and I call them artists, you know, horticulturists, backyard horticulturists who have, there's a channel called DMC. If you search that with greenhouse, and he's one of the most underrated YouTubers ever. He does only a few videos, and he was just such a huge inspiration for a backyard, orchard and vegetable garden. And he's up in Canada, and you think, what can I grow in Canada? Well, you can grow a lot in Canada, right, Lester? There's my geo bins. There's my pear tree, and my Gravenstein apple tree, my sour cherry tree. And these are all the new beds that I started. I've been densely planting all of my leafy green vegetables. And my gardener has a video where he does dense planting, basically every 4 inches apart. This is an arugula bed I just seeded. You don't have to do anything with arugula. It'll germinate in a day. And you just throw it down and you have arugula, which probably costs God knows how much in the supermarket. It's ridiculous. These are purple tomatoes. I have so much to say. Maybe I should do more videos. These are more eggplant. Swiss chard. You take Swiss chard and cherry tomatoes, and you could search for a pasta. So you can make that with fresh pasta, Swiss chard and cherry tomatoes. And it's probably the greatest thing you could ever have. Here's a bed of red Russian kale. This is a bed of baby dino kale. Cut this. These are cut and come again. I've cut this bed back so many times. I haven't even bothered to weed it because I'm just gonna like do another cut and then just reseed it. These are just cabbages, purple cabbages. You can see more tomatoes back there. Tomatoes are coming up. Oh, these guys are ripening. My neighbor Russ gave me these purple varieties of tomatoes. I grew them last year too. He's got quite a garden too. All the unsung heroes of backyard gardening who get probably no mention, but boy do they have great stuff going on. And I think, yeah. So what else? Can pan around here. Here's a nice bench where you can sit and relax and focus on what's going on. There's a raspberry patch here. Also asparagus and raspberry work very nice together. And I just planted this whole thing out with new perennial asparagus. This bed I've let go fallow. Has a couple of sweet potato shoots in it, but that's really it. And I'm just sort of redeveloping this area. This is another pear tree. I think it's a biennial pear, but it's still growing pears this year. I think this is either a Bosco or Bartlett. I'm not sure. I had them both, but I pulled one out. You never know what fruit trees are going to work, so you got to really plant a bunch of fruit trees and pull out the ones that don't work, and don't be afraid to do it. Just get them as, you know, $20, $30 dwarf whips from, like, you know, Rain Tree Nursery or, you know, Peaceful Valley Organic. They'll send you them packaged very nicely, and you can just plant those. So yeah, serenity is what we're always hoping to achieve, even as important as productivity. Because I'm a cook, and I love to cook, and that's my. So you know, this kind of brings that all together, and we've become way too reliant on, you know, this corporate system. And there's just way too many unenlightened career politicians, corporatists who are only serving the interests of, you know, an elite handful of their campaign donors. And that's why we're on a collision course with nature. And you know it all. I don't need to tell you about this. You know it. You know, people say, oh, it's big government. It's not big government, it's bad government. I mean, how do you even quantify big? It's about quality, not quantity. And if you have a bad government, and it's a big government, and you have a big bad government, As far as free trade is concerned, there's never really been such a thing as free trade. It's always been heavily regulated, and monopolies form, and monopolies dominate by their presence of their political prowess, which comes from money. They have more money, they can influence policy, and that's how it all goes down. So I ramble about that because I teach social policy, and and I'm very interested in permaculture and nature and sustainability. And if we're going to survive on this planet, we got to do something now, folks. Really, this is bad. It's bad. But all of this, is good, and if it can be done not on an individual level but a community level, even better. What brings people together is agriculture, because if you look at the majority of human history, it's an agricultural history. Even in the blue zones, in the healthiest places in the world, what are they doing? Are they growing tons? Are they putting up factory farms for all? No, they're not putting up factory farms. You want to know why? Because that doesn't make people healthy. Growing fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, farrows and barleys, and consuming very, very little meat, if any. That's the way to go. So you can either agree or disagree with that statement. That's your choice. Everybody's cherry picking research these days, and a lot of that research is industry funded. So try to look into where your research is coming from, because if it's coming from big pharma, it's hard to trust it a lot of the time, because look how powerful they are. They're wealthier than many, 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 many countries on earth. You think that doesn't have anything to do with what's being said about the efficacy of their medications and drugs? So I'll leave you with that. Let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy garden be thy place of serenity to decompress from all the wacky negativity that's out there. And hopefully this brought you a little bit of peace, but a little bit of realism also. I mean, this isn't like, I'm not trying to be Buddha on the mountaintop here, a new age guy, and it's not me at all. I'm about cooking healthy food and a sustainable planet and bringing community together, and doing something about this corporate dominated system. And that's what I'm all about. I don't try to be about nothing and be all postmodern and, hey, this is just my world and welcome to it and you can do it. No, it's not me. Do something. Do something. And be well.